Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Weekly Orbit. We've got this week's headlines for Rocket Pool, the week ending the 26th of May, 2023. I'm Pat, and my co-host Whack is back from his special assignment. This week's headlines are: the Rocket Pool roadmap has been released and updated. We'll discuss what exciting new developments are in store for the protocol. oDAO charter draft has been released. We'll talk about possible reforms to the oDAO. And finally, Aave Emode for rETH has passed. How much rETH do we expect this will mint? All this in weekly stats. But first, Whack, hello. Welcome
Hi,
back.
thank you so much.
The Weekly Orbit sends our correspondents all over the world for special assignments. Yours was a lot more local than worldly.
Yeah, so first of all, it felt really weird watching the episode last week, but not being on the episode last week. My wife gave birth a couple of weeks ago, and just under 2 weeks ago, and we welcomed our second son into our family. So I was off on that special assignment, dealing with diapers and all that kind of good stuff. So,
well,
yeah.
we're all happy that you got a happy baby.
Thank you.
Healthy mom and dad, and everyone's doing well.
Yeah, everyone's doing great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's get into this week's stats. As of course, we always start with stats, which is your favorite topic. I want to start with Dr. Worm's Dune dashboard here. We haven't checked in this while. The total mini pools created since Atlas, we're talking about LEB8s. We're up to over 11,600 total. We got about 7,900 new mini pools and about 3,700 LEB8 bond reductions. So this continues to go and go in the right direction, steady. And, you know, one thing I noticed here, switching over to the Rocket Pool Rocket Scan, is that our fee commission has slowly been moving over to 14%. Now, this is good for our ETH APR because it'll keep us competitive with other liquid staking tokens. And so from this pie chart, for our listeners who can't see, we're probably just over 50% and growing at 14% commission. Any thoughts, Whack?
Yeah, so having a look at this pie chart, you can see like there's three distinct areas. There's an area that's fixed at 14%, there's an area that's fixed at 15%, and then there's a kind of a segment with three parts, which is like 15 to 20% that you can see on the chart there. This basically is information about three different stages of the Rocket Pool like staking eras, pretty much. So the 15 to 20% was when Rocket Pool started. You know, there was a variable commission rate at the time. If there was too much rETH demand, then and not enough node operator demand, then the commission percentages would be high. If there was too much node operator demand and not enough rETH demand, then the commission percentages would be low to kind of get people to come in, bring their rETH in, right? What ended up happening was a lot of people started gaming the system. So that's why that 20% chunk is quite nice and big there, is because a whole bunch of people just waited for the commission to hit 20%, and then they'd start mini pools, and they'd wait for it to hit 20% again and start mini pools again. So that obviously wasn't working. So pretty quickly, the community like said, we need to fix this. We need to go to a fixed commission rate. So then the question was, what should the fixed commission rate be? Lido was charging 10%. Coinbase was charging 25%. We felt that it was a good idea to charge 15% because of the decentralization premium that comes with Rocket Pool. So that's that big chunk of nodes there at 15%. That's what that cycle was. And post Atlas, then LEB8s are at 14%, new nodes are at 14%. So that's what that 14% shows there. So what you're really seeing from this is that as those older mini pools that convert, then it takes one away from the older one and it adds one to the 14%. So that pie has been growing like really like in a nice outsized way, and it's now over 50% of total mini pools are basically LEB8s, which is total validated, sorry, LEB8s, which is really, really great to see. I think I think as more whales basically move their positions from mini pool 16 validators to LEB8 validators, then we'll eat into those numbers a lot more as well. And I expect us to be at basically 70% or 75% by the end of the year, maybe even 80% at LEB8s as opposed to other kinds of validators.
Right.
Yeah.
Perhaps we'll start to see a little bit more conversions now that gas has gone down. We're back
Hmm.
down to like the 20s and 30s in gas.
Yeah.
However, on the other side, you have the queue into the beacon chain is over
Yeah.
70,000 validators right now. So it's always it's a balance between, when people are trying to game the system, it's really you look at it as a node operator and you're thinking, when is the optimal time that I convert over? Oh, well, I want gas to be low, so it costs me
Yeah.
less. And I also want the time I'm waiting in the queue to be low as well. But right now we're kind of lopsided. The queue, everyone's making a FOMO rush into the beacon chain. So
Yeah.
it's each node operator has that decision to make and when's the right time. But given, as you said, by the end of the year, I think we'll see a lot of folks converting over to the LEB8s.
Yeah. I think any new validator that comes online will be LEB8 almost definitely. It just makes so much more sense. So that 14% number will actually, I think, really the 14% part of the pie chart is going to get a lot bigger.
Yep.
About the queues, the rocket pool queue is about 9 days long, which has kind of been going at like that 8 to 10 day length for quite a few days now, which is really great. Like, we're getting some beautiful deposits coming through.
Yep.
Another 8,500 today, which is fantastic. So the rocket pool side of things are moving quite nicely. It's just that on the Ethereum side, it's a bit clogged. But I think that's going to stay there for a while, and people are starting to realize that. That's going to, I think, take us to about 30 million staked by the end of the year in total. 30 million ETH staked, yeah. So just less than a million validators. It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah,
Like,
and
yeah,
that's I mean, the weight it kind of stinks in the short run, but over time, I mean, that's a good thing for Ethereum security. You have more validators, you got a larger chunk of Ethereum securing the network.
yeah,
The goal of Ethereum is to be the global settlement layer, and if you're going to do that, you got to be the most secure blockchain in the space. So
yeah,
that's good. Also, you take more Ethereum off the market, well, you're reducing supply.
yeah,
When a bull market comes back, that could help project the price of ETH up too. So there's some upside to that for the
yeah,
weight. Let's move on to, oh, well, before we leave this, the rocket scan, let's just take a quick look at the deposit pool. You mentioned we've had, I think this is like the second time we record this on Friday mornings, and a couple times now we've had some massive deposits the morning of recording. And
mm,
today's one of those days. We've got, as you said, 8,473 ETH deposited today, May 26th.
yeah.
And perhaps we'll get up to 10,000. We had two $10,000 or $10,000 ETH days last week. Perhaps we'll hit another 10,000 today. But it's great to see. We get there was a 45, almost 4,600 ETH deposit earlier this morning. Had a 3,400 deposit overnight. So looking good, huh?
Absolutely. Like that deposit queue is moving. The pool is moving. The deposit pool is getting filled really nicely. And ETH is being matched up with people in the queue really nicely as well. Like I said, the 8 or 9, 10 day basically queue for a rocket pool side is really great. Like at one point, people thought it was going to be months long just on the
Right.
rocket pool side, but that never happened basically, which is amazing. The ETH side is the one that, the beacon chain side is the one that's really like kind of making people think a lot about it now. But you just gotta jump in, I think. That's what
Yeah.
I'm planning on doing this weekend as well. I'm planning on converting my LEB8s this weekend.
I helped a friend last weekend set up he just he's got about 10 or 11, well, about 11 ETH, and we helped set him up on an LEB8. And we were, looking at the deposit pool and, projecting that it's going to be hopefully about a week by next weekend. I said, we'll get you into the beacon chain queue and out of the
Yeah,
rocket pool queue.
yeah,
And, I think we're on pace to do that, especially
mm,
if we get couple more days of days like today with the large deposits. So,
Yeah.
but it's exciting. I got another friend in my inner circle who's gonna be setting up LEB8 over the next couple months. So it's the word spreading, especially for those smaller depositors. We talk about the whales all the time, but it's really the small guys, the small little fish who make up a large part of Rocket Pool.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really
Okay.
great.
We'll quickly go on to RPL week. We started the week at the ETH ratio of 0.027, and we finished at about, what is it? There it is, 0.0256. So I did the math, and that's about a 6% decline from last week. Last week was a 7% increase. So, we had it's overall it's slightly down week for RPL.
Yeah, right there on the 22nd, you can see that big spike down.
Yep.
That was a investment group, I think I forgot their name. They sold $1.8 million worth of RPL straight into the open market. So it really like kind of hit the price. But it seems like we've stabilized kind of over the last few days. Yesterday there was some okay price action, but it's not really been sustained. We'll have to see what it looks like over the weekend and into next week. But
yeah, when you get these large purchases, it's a double-edged sword, right? You get a big bump, you're like, everyone's excited. Oh man, whale just bought a whole bunch of RPL, price gone up.
yeah,
Well, and then 6 months later, they double their money and they sell, and then price goes down. So but this is just, it's that chop, it's noise, short-term noise. And overall, we're up on the year. So it's looking good for RPL. It's a post regarding the Rocket Pool roadmap prioritization. And we've got just a chart highlighting some of the community suggestions along with the development team's thoughts. And it kind of breaks it down in different sections. We got, I'll highlight there's a lot of ideas, but I'll go over some of the highlighted ones. We got our ETH section, which talks about wallet integrations. We've got a section for pDAO, got a section for protocol improvements, including DVT research, RPL use cases, SaaS, and single mini pool contracts. And then smart node, technical debt cleanups, process, oDAO, and brand. Also, it goes into some strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. Briefly, strengths for Rocket Pool, we got a decentralized validator set. Weaknesses, our ETH return is better, but still underperforms decentralized providers. Opportunities, possible wallet integrations, eigenlayer, and threats. Reduce market differentiator as new decentralized options come to market, and some other things. So there's a lot here. This is the beginning of a process, how Rocket Pool is going to move forward now that Atlas is behind us. And there's some good ideas. I read this over and thought, well, the team's going to be real busy. In fact, I saw that they're going to be hiring 2 people to add to the team. So they're pretty serious about hitting some of these improvements over the next, 3 to 12 months.
yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we should know is like this document here is kind of a like some of the ideas are from the team, some of the ideas are the community, like people put kind of like a wish list of what they want the next update to be. Ken was kind of spearheading that part of the process and made a doc, and people put their ideas in there and stuff. So this here right now is just let's throw everything to the wall and see what's there. The next process now is people start to talk about what makes sense to prioritize, because we can't do everything here. Like there's just no way that we can do everything on this list. It's just there's way too much work. Like even with a team with like dozens of developers, this is just too much. This is like the full ambition slate. Like what do we want? So what this is basically a step 1 now is like what do we prioritize? What do we really want to be in the next update? I think the idea is the next update will be in about 6 months time. Joe will not be happy with me saying this, but it might be called Little Joe as the update, because going in with line with the, the rocket, after Redstone, Atlas, and Little Joe's technically the next one. Joe, I think would prefer it to be called Saturn, but that update will be here in about 6 months' time. Right now, we are getting some of these things are already happening, like wallet integration stuff with Ledger is already like fairly far advanced. MetaMask is finished. That kind of stuff is already going on. And hopefully, it gets easier to do that in the future. But other stuff has not even started yet, right? So we really need to work together as a community, as a team, the oDAO, pDAO, everyone kind of banding together and kind of getting our priorities set like soon. And then once those priorities are set, then we can figure out what is the team going to work on, what kind of stuff can go to the community through grants, etc., what kind of stuff can be done and how can it be done. So that's kind of where we are right now. There's a bunch of stuff that looks really exciting, and I'm looking forward to see what that would look like. The thing that I really want to see is the LEB4s, but I don't think that's going to happen in the next update potentially, because other stuff needs to happen for that to happen.
Right.
It might happen, but I don't think it will. A lot of the other stuff as well, though, will be really great. And the thing that the community really wants to see is that oDAO section, but we're going to be talking about that next. So
sure.
we can
Yeah, everyone, when it comes to Rocket Pool, the most commonly held question is, when is the LEB4s? We just finished the LEB8s, but as you said, we've got to have forced exits on the protocol level and the ETH. And so that's like something Ethereum has to put through on one of their updates. And then I was reading, I think I read a comment from Joe who said it becomes a gas issue when you start getting the LEB4s. And one of the things on this list is single mini pool contracts. So you would need to update the contract to make it gas efficient, to make it worth doing an LEB4. Plus, you need forced exits. So there's some work to be done if LEB4s were going to happen. Plus, some more research probably on that as well. Is it safe? Is it safe for the protocol to have such little ETH put forward by the node operator and match up with so much protocol ETH? So lot to talk about. Like you said, though, they're going to have to prioritize, for the next update. We'll pick, a couple of these things, or maybe one, and move forward with it.
Yeah, like there'll be like a basket of these things would go into the next update. But if you get out this image and if you scroll down, like people have responded to this thread really well. And like a whole lot of comments have kind of come through already from community members and other people. Like, we've had 28 replies, really great ideas. People are kind of already talking about it back and forth. And I'm really excited to see where this discussion goes. Like, there'll be some really good stuff happening here.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the strengths of Rocket Pool is how engaged the community is, and there's a really nice relationship between the team and the community, and it's part of the reason it's been so successful.
Absolutely.
If we move on to oDAO reforms, so Valdorf has produced his a draft document for the community to discuss regarding the some updates to the oDAO, which there was so much effort put into making sure Atlas was, all the team, everyone was working on Atlas, get that out the door. And then after Atlas, there was talk of, okay, let's take a look. We're going to have time then to look at the oDAO and what things can we do? What reforms should we possibly implement? And this is kind of an outline that Valdorf has submitted to the community for discussion. Any initial thoughts on your part, Wack?
Yeah, so there's 3 steps, right, of how things could change and kind of like a really nice, like symbiotic way. The first is changes made to the oDAO itself, like what they're doing. The second is changes to the way the pDAO works. And then the third is like protocol change about like inflation that goes out as rewards every month. So those things together, I think, kind of form like a trifecta of reforms that will come together to like really improve the relationship between the pDAO, the oDAO, and like the protocol itself. There's a really nice set of values here about how the oDAO members will operate, what kind of standards they'll hold themselves to, how they'll be accountable, all that kind of good stuff. And that's really, really great here. And then there's ideas of bringing the pDAO kind of in line with that, oh, yeah, of course, on here on the image, like, what the current responsibilities are and how that'll be changing. And yeah, all of those things working together, I think, is what we're kind of hoping will happen. These sections still need a bit more work. The changes to the pre-DAO and how that will happen, and then also like what will happen with the inflation, because the idea is like the rewards for the oDAO are too high, and people kind of got upset about that. They're earning basically around $400,000 a year at the moment.
Mm.
Which is 5% of RPL inflation, right? No, sorry, 15% of RPL inflation goes to the oDAO. So people are just kind of like, it's been a sore spot for quite a while, which is perfectly fine. So there's all these ideas basically that are coming up, and again, this is kind of like the roadmap where this is very much a work in progress. Like the community working together with the team, with the oDAO, with like everyone working together to try to figure this out. If you go back to the roadmap, however, there's a really nice section on the roadmap. The previous, scroll up a little bit. Yeah, the right there, the oDAO, that's one. So no, scroll down. Sorry, that image. Yeah, the oDAO section here is, there's this idea that there's something called like the beacon state being put onto the chain, and like the communication between the execution layer and the consensus layer happening in a better way. If that can happen, then a lot of the duties that the oDAO currently perform will be able to be performed by smart contract, and by basically like we can do away with a whole bunch of the duties that the oDAO does. So it's these things that are kind of happening simultaneously, where we're trying to put limits on the oDAO from the like constitutional side by making a constitution of sorts, but then at the same time we're hoping that there'll be limitations being put on the oDAO from the protocol side as well, because their duties won't be necessary anymore. So there's all of these discussions that are happening. It's really exciting. We really want everyone to get involved in kind of like sharing their opinions, sharing their thoughts, and getting involved in this process, because if you are not involved in this process, and then 3 weeks or months down the line you're complaining about it, then people will say like, where were you, why didn't you share these opinions a few months ago, right? So now is the time for everyone who's at all passionate or angry about anything to do with the oDAO to get involved, share their opinions, share their ideas, and we can all work together to make it productive. So
Right.
that's the important part.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Valdorf shares a comparison using the Arbitrum Security Council as a kind of a standard, what they're paid to help secure the Arbitrum network. And I thought that's kind of a good place to start with that, and how much the oDAO should be compensated. So that's been as you said, that's been a sore point. Some folks think too much goes to the oDAO. On the other hand, one could argue that, you have over $1 billion, I don't know what it is, over $1 billion secured by Rocket Pool, paying out a little bit, what sounds like a lot in an absolute term, but relative to the amount of, ETH locked up, you got to pay a security, essentially they're helping secure the protocol. So, but, it's a good discussion to have, because going forward, things change. RPL price goes up and goes down. And what are other protocols paying for security, for their like Arbitrum? So, look, it's going to be a good discussion going forward.
Absolutely. And the thing that I like about it as well is that like the whole community is involved, and people are really like passionate about this. So hopefully like, we'll come up with some really good stuff.
Okay, on to our last headline. Now you've taken up you've talked a lot about this on your show, and Emode and Mark Zeller. Mark Zeller's put together Emode, which is basically helps folks. They want to borrow. They use our ETH. They borrow ETH, and they fold it over and over again. It creates a leverage position. This made STETH really popular, and it went up. Emode went up for a vote on Aave. It has passed. It has met quorum. Right now, it's queued. Maybe you could tell us what that means, Wack, and what should we expect going forward in the next several days or weeks with regards to this exciting development on Aave?
Okay, so first of all, I'm very, very, very excited about this. Like, if that's
Sorry,
not, you know,
yeah,
yeah,
I should have. I was a little
you
underwhelming in my intro
yeah,
there.
I'm very excited about this. Mark is an amazing guy. Like, I met him and I just was blown away by him. He's really, really smart, really, really cool guy. So let's get that out of the way first. After that, what is eMode, right? Like you said, it's kind of lets you fold, like restake your rETH. The way that it works is eMode stands for high efficiency mode of borrowing against your rETH. So this is a vote for making rETH turning on eMode for rETH specifically. So you'll be able to deposit your rETH, and in return you can take 0.9% or 90% of that value, sorry, as ETH coming back. So because of that 90% ratio, you could fold this, like you can do that cycle like up to 9 times, right? So that means that with one rETH that you have, you could potentially scale that up to like 7, 8, 9 rETH worth of rewards that you get for that. So what it means in like very, very simple terms is one person bringing an ETH to Rocket Pool could drive up to 8, 9 rETH worth of demand, which is amazing, right? Because it's going to it's going to boost our ability to mint rETH by tenfold, pretty much, like in round numbers.
Sure.
There are a lot of caveats to that. A lot of caveats. First of all, this is a DeFi strategy. The more extreme position you take, like the more times you do that, the more likely it is that you can get liquidated. Like on a small price change, you can get liquidated. Like it is not good times. You will lose everything you put in. That's first of all.
Yeah.
On top of that, like there's a chance that that could cause a liquidation cascade, which means as some people get liquidated, it pushes the price lower, which means more people get liquidated, which means it pushes the price lower, which means more people get liquidated. It kind of becomes like an awful like set of waterfalls that are down to hell, which is not good. So this, be very, 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 very careful interacting with any DeFi strategy, especially this DeFi strategy, as you could lose everything and it could cause massive problems for the protocol. After that point, you have to remember as well that like this is this okay, I kind of lost my train of thought there for a second, but with eMode, it will have caps, right? So it's not just a matter of like, it will just lead to infinite rETH supply. Aave kind of like set breaks at certain points. Like right now, the rETH vault is at cap. There's no way to put more rETH in there. So even though eMode will go live in 18 hours time from when we're recording, it might be that there's no ETH to borrow for you at that point. I'm not sure exactly when the cap will be extended. At the moment, it's 20,000 ETH. It likely will go to 40,000 ETH. With that said, yeah, I made a prediction a couple of weeks ago about 30,000 ETH coming from Lido into Rocket Pool. It didn't quite work out that way, so I'm kind of hesitant to make a prediction here. I think that we'll hit that cap very, very, very quickly. That 20,000, I expect will go in a day, 2 days at most. And then at that point, then Aave will have to decide about what they do with the cap. Will they extend it? Will they keep it the way it is? I think they will extend it. And if they extend it, then that will go again very quickly also, which means that the queue that we have for the deposit pool will all be cleared within a week, pretty much.
Right.
That's my expectation. And then of course more nodes will, go and become LEB8s from the existing validators, which will then lengthen the queue. But we will wipe out the queue once, which is why I want to get in line this weekend and get queued up, because I think it'll be cleared by next week, as soon as eMode goes live, basically, and there's a cap there.
Right.
One of the caveats to this is though that the impact on the RPL price, right? If we're minting thousands and thousands of rETH, what's this going to do to RPL? In the flat sense, nothing, potentially nothing, right? Because all the node operators that already have, the people who are converting already have their RPL in place. They already have their ETH in place. They don't have to do anything. They just have to like spend some gas to convert. They don't need to add any RPL. So there might not be that buying demand initially. However, in the long term, as the protocol grows, as the TVL increases, then there's a chance that the RPL price will appreciate in response with that. But I'm not making any predictions on RPL price based on this. Yeah.
It's just one more DeFi integration. Every week we do this, and every week it seems like there's another one or two DeFi integrations, and it's just going to continue, and
Yeah.
that spurs demand for our ETH, which
Yeah.
strengthens the protocol, and we're in this growth stage with RPL or Rocket Pool, right? It's we get it's all snowballing in the upward direction, and at some point we'll probably plateau at a market share, but right now we're still in hyper growth phase, and we see
Yeah.
that it's
And
exciting time to be part of Rocket Pool.
yeah, let me be clear. Like this Emode step is a big step towards those integrations. Like this has the potential of minting hundreds of thousands of rETH for Rocket Pool. Like
Yeah.
if you just look at what it did for Lido, they had I think 2.5 million Lido came through Lido ST Emode. So there's a whole lot that can happen here. It's astonishing if it works.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Aave is the kind of the gold standard DeFi protocol, and being integrated with it is excellent for Rocket Pool overall.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not just Aave that are doing this folding. We've seen proposals from Sturdy Pass who are doing it as well. And then there'll be stuff that will be built on top of this Aave. There'll be new tokens that are like leveraged rETH tokens that will have that leverage folded into the token itself. And then as you'll get liquidity for that token, then you'll get integrations for those tokens as well. It's like this is like a flywheel. And as it gets moving, it's just going to go faster and faster and faster. And that's definitely at the stage we're at now. We will plateau, and we want to plateau, and I hope that plateau happens at around 20% of market share. So
if that does,
we'll
we'll have to do this from our yachts.
I hope so. I hope so.
But that is this week's show. Of course, that wasn't financial advice. It's not technical, no legal advice, tax advice. We're just talking crypto here. But we want to provide everyone out there with 30 minutes of the highlights of the week. So until next week, see you later. We'll talk to everyone, and thanks for listening and watching. Hit the like and subscribe button, and also watch Rocket Fuel. That is the daily show that WAC produces almost every day. And as someone who has started doing this himself, I can tell you it is a lot of work, folks. And all of us appreciate everyone tuning in and watching, because it is work. It's not just 30 minutes and you show up and do this. There's a lot more to it behind the scenes. So until next week, WAC, great to see you, and take care.
Thanks for having me back. Yeah. Thanks everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.